Human Radio.
Evening all. Good Lord. Episode 4? Is it episode 4, Andy? I think it's episode 4.
It's 4. Yeah, number 4.
It is number 4. And what a way to start it with our new theme tune from the amazing Dave Julian. How cool was that?
Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? I love it. We are only human.
I know, it's well cool. That's actually Dave singing that as well. Thank you very much, Dave, for doing that for us. That's really kind. And it actually sounds professional. Unfortunately, you've got the rest of the show to listen to now, so that's probably the highlight.
You might as well turn off now.
That's probably the highlight of the night. Well, what a dark and dingy night it is out there. Hopefully we can bring a little bit of sunshine into your lives with some of the tunes that we've got here this evening. We've got an amazing lineup of stuff. We've also got a special guest, not actually in the building, but in another building, remotely wiring into us. Martin, are you there?
I am, yes. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
You okay, Matt? How are you? You all right?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Yeah, you guys?
Andy. Good, very good. Very good, Andy. I'll let you do the introductions with Martin now, because you invited Martin into the show.
Yeah, Martin Eve. Martin, he's a man of many musical talents, but we're looking at his Fourth Eden project tonight, aren't we, Martin? So,
yes.
Fourth Eden. You do other things, don't you?
I do. Well, obviously I got involved with a covers band, Supernova, which obviously we're not doing very much at the moment. We are rehearsing, but just to keep our hand in. But yeah, my main persona is Fourth Eden, which I've been doing since 2009.
And we had a very nice track of yours on last week as well, I think, didn't we, Martin? It was from the first Only Human album.
Oh, Transcendence, yes.
That's
on the
track.
first compilation album, yeah.
Excellent track, really, really nice. So we're going to be talking to you a little bit later in Andy's Gear Geek Corner. We won't play the jingle yet. Everybody, you have to wait in a hot anticipation for that wildly successful jingle that'll pop in a little bit later on there. And then we're also going to have a chat with you just about your music and what you're doing as well. So, and it's going to be great because we're going to get Martin's input also on some of the songs we're playing tonight. Andy, we're starting at a bit of a pinnacle tonight as well. It's very difficult when you start so high of an evening, to keep on climbing.
Well, what I've decided to do is we had Matthew on last week, 2 weeks ago, Sword Swinging Robot, and he was talking about his remixing. He was talking about his love of remixing, how he had tackled it. And I did mention that he'd done one for me, or for one of my tunes. I did a tune about 18 months ago called Photocopy. And Matthew very, very, very kindly remixed it, gave it the Sword Swinging Robot treatment. So I thought a nice bit of continuity, also to sneak another one of my tunes into the show, but it'd be nice continuity to have a listen to Matthew's remix of my tune and basically show off what this guy can do.
He is good, isn't he? And in there, there's like a bass note throughout. Is that like a piano note that's been adjusted, and what is it?
I don't know. It started off. It started life off as a very much an homage to the music that I love, which is 80s synth pop, and it was my original was a straight ahead synth pop homage, really. But when Matthew sort of took it over, I sent him the stems. And when he took it on, it became this completely other being. It's absolutely fantastic what he's done with it. I mean, I kept it tight and small. He's blown it up into this huge...
It's very dramatic.
Soundtrack word. It is. Do you know, I'm not anti-rock, but we don't mention rock too much around these parts. But I felt as if it had sort of U2 type drama to it. Where the Streets Have No Name, that kind of drama and atmosphere. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Love it.
Tell you what, let's have a listen then, and we can have a chat about it on the way back out. So this is Andy Pegg's Photocopy Sword Swinging Robot remix.
Yeah.
Wow, Andy, that was brilliant. I mean, the original photocopy I liked anyway, but yeah, fair dues. Matt's put a nice little bit of polish around that, hasn't he? I say polish, it makes it sound like it wasn't polished before. You know what I mean.
It wasn't. It wasn't. No, it's
I've just been kind.
It's gone epic. It's gone epic. He's fed it steroids, and it's sort of grown into this huge, beautiful thing.
It's a shame I couldn't hear the original, because I obviously like to do the comparison. But yeah, again, Matt has obviously done a magic touch to it and made it made it a fantastic track. I'm sure it was a fantastic track before.
It's lost. I had a disaster with my laptop. It died, and like most sort of idiots of my generation, don't bother saving anything in more than one place. So I lost a whole back catalogue of music.
Well, it was brilliant though, and it does show Matt's talent with remixing stuff. He's done a couple of bits on a couple of mine where he's made them listenable, which is quite amazing. So yeah, that was really, really nice, Andy. Thank you very much indeed for that. So we've got something I've not come across these before. We've got Primitive System coming up, Andy. Where did you find these guys from?
Well, it's one guy, a guy called Jarkko. He's from Stockholm, Sweden, and he contacted us. Do you know at the end of the show where we go, if you'd like to send us your tunes, send it to, he has. So this is a bit of Swedish electronica. And that's it, really. He has sent me a really lovely email about the origins of the song, how it came into being. What do you think of Martin? Have you heard it?
Yeah, it's when it first started, it's got that chiptune sort of feel to it. Reminded me of like an 80s video game.
That's exactly what I wrote down. Yeah, exactly. That 80s video game is exactly what I wrote down.
Yeah, but I've
got chiptune.
I can like it. There's a Casio VL1 in there somewhere, by the sound of it, and it could have come off the Human League Dare album. That's it's got that sort of feel to it.
Guess how he made it?
Oh, go
on. He made it on an iPhone, and he said that he made it on an old iPhone.
No way.
So this is phone. This is phone music. So there we go. It's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it?
You don't know what application he used on the iPhone to do it, do you?
No, I can email him and ask him.
Or he can email.
In fact, Jarkko, if you're listening, can you tell us how you made it?
Because it is amazing. It's a brilliant song, but it's so interesting. Yeah, all three of us have heard that same influence in there. So it's brilliant, and it's nice to get somebody actually responding to our email. That's amazing.
Yeah. He, I mean, if people want to send the stuff in, onlyhumanradio@gmail.com, then please send it in. We will play it. We will listen to it. So thank you, Jarkko, for doing that.
Absolutely.
He said it was inspired by a trip to California and the particular light that you get in California. I've been to California. I can vouch for that. Certain times of the day is absolutely gorgeous, and that was the inspiration for this song.
Well, I tell you what, let's have a listen. So this is Primitive System and California Shimmer.
Only Human Radio.
brilliant. That was Primitive System, California Shimmer. I really enjoyed that. That was
a brilliant tune.
It's a great tune, but it has got that real video game feel about it. It's,
yeah.
Really enjoyed that. It was really, really good. Right, so coming up now, we've got somebody that actually Martin's introduced us to. So, Andy, I'm going to pass over to you because you're far better at this stuff than I am. Just have a little chat about Sean Quinn.
Yeah, a guy called Sean Quinn. We're going to be listening to a tune called Geometric. Sean Quinn is part of a band called Tiny Magnetic Pets, who are a very current electronica band. But he's one of the members. But it was Martin who introduced Sean Quinn to us. So what's inspired you to bring this tune along, Martin?
Well, it's strange how these connections all get together. But obviously, I saw a couple of tunes of they live. We went to Manchester to see Midge do the Vienna album, the Ultravox Vienna album, and they were supporting. And I listened to the album afterwards, and then I don't know what the connection was, but somehow I discovered that one of the guys from the band actually had an album and his own material, and and I think it's called Skylines. And I've listened to the album. I went out walking one day and listened to it. I thought, fantastic. There's a real variety of sounds, some drum and bass and some really ambient stuff. So that's really a connection. And, I've been sort of online chatting to him and about stuff. There's some big names who've actually sort of done a heads up for Tiny Magnetic Pets. And then he's been compared to the likes of Eno, John Fox, he's got a good pedigree there.
I think if I wanted to be sort of compared to anybody, I wouldn't mind being compared to Brian Eno and John Fox.
Yeah, be all right.
Absolutely,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. You mentioned the drum and bass element. Geometric has that kind of vibe, doesn't it? It sounds quite industrial, but it's definitely got that sort of drum and bass groove, hasn't it?
Well, it sort of starts off choral as well, though.
It starts on very ambient, but then all of a sudden the drum and bass kicks in, then it goes down again and comes back up again, and so that's a great song.
Yeah, I said that. Well, when I was listening to it, I thought there was a really nice contrast between these sort of like waves of synth at the start. Then booming in comes this sort of quite heavy industrial drum and bass, and but they both sit together very nicely. Really, the way I've described it sounds quite jarring, but it's not, is it? He manages to create this sort of. What would you call it? Sort of symbiosis between the two types of sound.
And the ending of the song is absolutely mental. It goes really sort of dark and gritty right at the end there as well.
Yeah, a lot of sort of glitchy drum sounds, which I love.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a great song. So I tell you what, why don't we have a listen, and then we can drop back in again. So this is Sean Quinn, Geometric.
Only Human Radio.
Brilliant. That was Sean Quinn, Geometric. That was great. What a find. And yeah, I mean that's a really actually quite an unusual sound. The combination of sounds that are within there.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
It works brilliantly.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right. I think to get both of those two different types of sound working together is absolutely fab. Really good, proper job.
Absolutely. And now it's time for everybody to hear the jingle that has now been voted consecutively for the 6th week in a row, the #1 jingle in the UK. It's time for
Andy's Gear Geek Corner.
What does that knob do? Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, it is. And we've got Martin on this week. So yeah, let's get gear geeking. Here we go. Come on, Andy.
Right. Hi. Okay. Yes. Gear Geek time. Unwillingly pulled into the limelight once again. We're going to be talking about. We're going to have a bit of a mixture of a chat with Martin. Actually, we're going to have a little bit of a chat about his really, really interesting tune, Waggle Dance. But we're also going to be looking at one of Martin's go-to soft synths, which is the Omnisphere. Martin, why, what is it about the Omnisphere that's made you bring that along tonight? What is so great about the Omnisphere?
Well, as I said, the problem is having a vast collection of virtual instruments. Probably far too many. That's a problem sometimes. You can have far too many. And
can I just stop you? I think a better question is, what is the Omnisphere?
What is Omnisphere? Well, Omnisphere, obviously, first and foremost, it is a virtual synthesizer. To start with, I think it developed it's by Spectrasonics, and it developed from an older version called Atmosphere back in about 2002. But it's become this pinnacle of excellence for virtual software synthesizers. But some people ask the question, is it a synthesizer or it's a sampler? Well, it's both now. This is what when Omnisphere version 2 came out, you can now bring in your own samples into it, rather like so it is a sampler like Contact, Native Instruments Contact. And what you can do with the samples is just mental sometimes. To actually you can actually bring a sample in, you can arpeggiate it, you can use a granular engine to make it just sound nuts. You can get lost inside it because there are thousands of presets, and you just but its navigation system is also, when you need to actually find presets, it's very good to navigate to actually find that sound that you want.
So what kind of things can you do with the samples?
It's got a built-in arpeggiator, so you could bring in a sample. I don't know. It could be a. For instance, when I recorded my album Atmospheric Mechanisms, I recorded these guys playing ping pong, and one of the tracks on the album, Atmospheric Mechanisms. So I ended up with this absolutely crazy rhythmic ping pong noise from the arpeggiator, bringing in the sample. But a lot of people make there's a lot of sound engineers out there, and they actually make a good living out of making sample banks for Omnisphere. So it certainly is a very, very popular synth. As I say,
so,
it's not.
So when you call it,
yeah, go on.
When you call it a synth, is it a synth as in what I would recognise as a synth with oscillators and modulation,
filters, modulation,
LFOs? Yeah,
absolutely. But then on the other side of it, there's a lot more to it. There's this crazy item called the orb, and it's a circle on the screen, and you can control it with an iPad. So I think it's great. It would be great for doing live performance of some description. So it basically morphs sound, and you load up a patch, and you use the orb to make these wonderful sort of sounds. You press something called the dice, and then it has also an effects bank on there. Amazing, bunch of effects, and so it's just it's more than a synth. So it's got wonderful effects chains on there, and you press the dice on there, and it changes all the effects on there instantly, and then becomes something completely different.
So like a randomizer.
Yeah, absolutely. Just randomize everything, and you can record it then as well, either live or within your DAW. So you can record this orb sound as this little dot goes around this circle.
Yeah. Absolutely
Absolutely bonkers it is. I don't use it to be honest. I have played with it, but I haven't found a use for it. But I'm sure people do use it for other reasons. As I said, one of the big features from the new version of Omnisphere 2.5 is the hardware integration. So now people in the hardware world, hardware synths, can plug in their hardware synth like a Korg Minilog or a Moog Little Fatty or Nord lead, and then Omnisphere takes on those characteristics of that particular synthesizer.
Wow. And
you can then play. It's almost like it turns it into a keyboard as such, but it's with that specific sound. But then you can actually, with your Nord lead, you can become a Korg microkorg. Yeah, a microkorg, for instance. And the other thing which I hadn't appreciated, obviously, some of these synths are monosynths, but with the integration of Omnisphere, you can turn a basic monosynth into a polyphonic synth.
Did you use it on your on the Waggle Dance tune? Just for anybody who's not heard it, or you will hear it in a minute. It's actually based around samples of bees, isn't it?
I was going to ask, are they real bee samples? So I guess they are they?
Do you know? I don't think we should keep anybody in suspense any longer. What do you think, Jules? Do you think we should actually get this tune on?
Only Human Radio.
Well, I was waggle dancing to that too. I could see you were too, Andy. I was watching you.
I was. It's sort of beer related though, you know.
There is a beer called Waggle Dance, yeah.
Oh, is there?
And we were saying before, Martin, as well, weren't we, that the name Waggle Dance is obviously what bees do. It's their communication device inside the hive, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the one bee will actually communicate by wagging its backside to the other bees and say, "Hey guys, there's some lovely nectar the other side of this fence or in this next field," and they say, "Great, okay," and they off they go. And so that's their way of communicating, and that's the Waggle Dance.
Yeah, which is fascinating. And I was
it's a great name for a tune. Great name for a tune, I think.
It is, absolutely. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that, and I was just mentioning before as well that it had a real feel of Gary Newman about it for me as well. And I was trying to think before about which album it was, and it was Savage, which he brought out in 2016, 2017 or thereabouts, which was his real true return to form of Gary Newman again. So yeah, it had a real feel of that for me. And that's that album convinced us to go and see Gary Newman, and we weren't disappointed. Absolutely marvellous concert, and yeah, so you're right. That album is spot on. Yeah, it is. So if anybody hasn't heard that album, it really is a proper, true return to form for Gary Newman. That. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, it sounded superb. That, Martin. Thank you very much indeed. And coming up now, we've got it's David. We've got Platform Zero coming up, Andy.
Yeah, David Hughes, an only human favourite. Yeah. It's classic David Hughes. A brilliant song title. It's called Looking Weird in Clapham Junction, which I'm sure we've all done at some point in our lives.
No, I wasn't sure whether this...
I've been there.
I wasn't sure whether this was a hairdryer at the beginning of the song or what it was that he had sampled in there. It sounds
it sounds
like
a sample sound, but...
Yeah.
Wouldn't it
could be I think it's something from the station.
Wouldn't it be a train?
That's why I would put it.
That would make more sense, wouldn't it, than a hairdryer? Yeah, it's a fair point, well made. Unless that is why he was looking weird at Clapham Junction, stood there with his hairdryer, which could also be it as well. But it did. I wrote down. It had a bit of a Kraftwerk feel to this for me as well.
It does. 1 minute 43 seconds, everybody. Set your watches. Something wonderful happens at 1 minute 43. We're always talking about David's arpeggios and David's key chord changes, but listen out for his sequencing at 1 minute 43. It's electric. It's fantastic.
Oh, cracky, you've built that right up.
I love the sequencing, and this is just a sequence fest.
It is. David is amazing at chord changes, amazing at arpeggios, and amazing at sequencing. And this has got killer sequencing in it. It's wonderful, absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. Tell you what, let's have a listen. So this is David Hughes, Platform Zero, Looking Weird in Clapham Junction. Yeah, top-notch stuff again there from David. And you're right, I mean, he does know how to sequence. I mean, that again, he's door-based, isn't he, David? So he's going to be, this is all going to be computer-based stuff. But crikey, he really does know how to program that stuff in there. Just superb.
What I do like about, again, I mean, we're talking about the key elements that David masters, but he's got a sense of drama, and he's got he knows how to tug on the old wistful heartstrings as well. He's got a certain melancholy that really appeals to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great song again, David. Thank you very much for letting us play that. So we've got another old favourite coming up as well now. So we've got Wasp Bergh. So we had, look how much episode it was. We had...
We're balancing the scales. So we had Wasp Bergh and Dr. Skyme as a partnership. Now, last week, I think, we had Dr. Skyme. Yeah. So it's only fair to have a Wasp Bergh solo piece.
It is, and what a piece it is. We were talking before, weren't we? Because we were trying to get hold of Wasp Bergh just before the show, just to find out which piece of equipment he used on this. So if you're listening now, can you just, if you're on YouTube, just send a little message through there, or otherwise just send an email through to onlyhumanradio@gmail.com. But we were just wondering, is this one piece of kit that this is all done on, and then you've used a wave and you've just manipulated that throughout, or what is it? But you were saying, Andy, more than likely it's probably a vintage piece of kit as well.
It's my guess, but as I get to know him a little bit more, it turns out that he dabbles with a bit of modular stuff as well.
Right.
So it could be something that he's come up with from his modular rig. It could be something that has a vintage piece, maybe 80s or 90s, something like that.
Yeah,
I just don't know, but. It's a cracking piece of work. It's it's typically moody, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it starts off quite industrial. As I got an industrial feel before it just and it finishes too soon for me. It's one I wanted to carry on.
It's I put down it's fighting with itself. It sounds like it's it's a piece of music it's kind of something's trying to break through, but it's being suppressed. I don't know if that's filtering or what, but it seems a disturbed piece of music. If it was a person, I would imagine it would be quite disturbed, sort of like beating itself up a little bit.
But it's actually a very...
Well, I can imagine a video to have been sort of really sparse landscapes and almost like apocalyptic landscapes.
Yeah, and it's actually quite a simple piece of music as well, which is what's beautiful about it as well, and it shows that you don't need to use a massive amount of kit and all the rest of it and fill layers and layers and layers of stuff to get a fantastic piece of music. This is actually a relatively simple piece, but it's so beautifully put together that it comes across wonderfully.
But it manages to be, you're right, and it's simple, but it manages to have a complexity as well that I enjoyed. So yeah, good point.
Absolutely. Right, I tell you what, let's have a listen. This is Wasp Bergh, Movements in Fusion 2. See you straight after this. Wasp Bergh, that was amazing, wasn't it? That really was.
Yeah.
And as you say, the complexity in there for what is a simple piece of music is extraordinary. It'd be great to know what he did that on.
We'll find out. We'll find out, and
Sure.
next show we'll let everybody know.
All right, so coming up next, we've got another good old stalwart as well, which is Benny Woo. Is this the second or third time we've had a Benny Woo song?
It's the second Benny Woo tune. So we've had the Magic Door.
Yeah.
And tonight it's Make a Great Light. It's
And I must admit, I made a mistake on the previous one. I thought it was Magic Door, DAW. And if you remember, on the last episode, I started rambling on about how he'd made it on a door, because I was assuming
that's
that was
right.
part of the name. And you were like looking at me going, no, what are you on about? that was totally my fault.
It wasn't dedicated to Cubase. It wasn't his tribute to Cubase.
But again, it's everything we've had from Benny Woo so far is just absolutely amazing. And again, I feel a little bit guilty that tonight I've been kind of, and we were saying the other week, Andy, that comparing people to other people actually quite often isn't a compliment, and people don't really like it.
No.
But once again, I've done it with this track too. And again, I couldn't help it, because again, I was listening to it and I was thinking, this really, really reminds me of something. And I knew it was a John Hopkins song, and then it took me a little while to piece it together. And it's, I think you might know this one, Martin, because I know you were talked about this album before, but it's off the Singularity album and the track Recovery, which I think is actually the last track on the album, which is a beautiful piano piece that he does.
He does well. John Hopkins, he's the master of glitch, but then all of a sudden he throws in these wonderful piano pieces, which just melts.
Well, he's a classically trained pianist, isn't he? So that's how he started out. But it did have a real feel of that for me. So for Benny Woo to create something of that sort of ilk really is it's a proper accolade.
Well, it's very uplifting, this piece of music, and obviously it's got that. It has an Oriental sound to it.
I know. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I thought it had a I don't know, maybe Chinese, Japanese scale type sounds in it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Was there a feel of that in his last one as well, Andy? I think there was.
Yeah,
there was like a Japanese type feel in his last song we played as well. I think I'll have to listen back to that and check that through.
Yeah, it's another very accomplished piece of work from Benny. This is more electronic than the one that we had on last week, was it? I don't know. Last week before.
Yeah.
But it's still got his trademark lovely piano keys and a bit more rhythmic though this time. This one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right, because there was a lot of piano on his last one, and we were trying to work out, was it a VST, was it an actual piano? And you were saying whichever way round it is, it's still amazing.
This is the one 2 weeks ago where you're trying to work out whether was actually was proper piano. Correct. Or was it programmed?
It's Benny. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I thought it was a very, very good programmed piece of piano. I wasn't too sure whether it was right or not, but because obviously you've got to be very good to actually make a piano sound realistic using MIDI.
Yeah, absolutely. But whichever way round he's done it, as you said last time, Andy, it's the guy's really knows what he's doing with this stuff, and the piano sounds amazing again in this one. Tell you what, let's have a listen. This is Benny Woo, Make Great Light.
Only Human Radio.
Benny Woo, amazing as always. Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it did have, as you say, Martin, it was actually more uplifting than I remember it. That from the first time I listened to it, I found it a little bit more sort of, not downbeat, but you're right, it was more uplifting than I remember that being.
Yeah, because it gives you a good feeling.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree. But we're going to bring it all down with a bad feeling now, because this is the last song of the night. Can you believe it's gone all the way through there again? Yeah. But once again, Andy, you've picked an absolute corker to end the night on, and something that really is quite extraordinary. So this is Dark Fidelity HiFi. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about them? Richard Jones.
Dark Fidelity HiFi. That's his stage. What he goes by, how he makes music by. But it's off his new Manchester musician. I've known him digitally for some time. I've always admired what he does. He always creates great atmospheres. It's beautifully recorded, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's off his new album, which is called Machine Blossoms. You can go and check it out on Bandcamp. It's amazing. It's not out yet, but there's a couple of tunes that they have pre-released that you can hear.
We're allowed to use it once a week, Andy, and I'm going to use my Soundscape card right now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, but it has got a real. I mean, I wrote down Soundscape, and it sounds otherworldly. You could be in the middle of, in the middle of a field somewhere, staring into the abyss of space, absolutely lost in this, just staring out in there.
Yeah, well, I can hear. Obviously, there's a lot of sort of ambient soundscapes, and they're looping, and it's fantastic. And the artist that comes to mind. Again, another one, one of my favourites is Ulrich Schnaus, and it's got that sort of Ulrich Schnaus feel to it, slightly discordant in places, which is like very typical Ulrich Schnaus. But it's a wonderful, quite an amazing piece of music, really quite inspiring. Actually, I found this. I was thinking as I was listening to it, I wish if I could create something like this, I would be utterly delighted.
He's he's not very active on Facebook, but he's quite active on Instagram. And if I post something, he'll just pop up every now and again and say, "Oh, did you know that if you put put a sine wave through your microcorg and did this and did that, it sounds amazing." And then I won't hear from him again from another sort of 3 or 4 months. But he'll just pop up every now and again and say, "Oh, I love that tune. I really like that." And but I've always been very appreciative of the music that he produces. I know he's played Green Man, and I know he's played Subliminal Impulse in Manchester as well. Right. So he's at a level where he's doing the do, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, let's hear the do. So this is Dark Fidelity HiFi Progressions. Dark Fidelity HiFi Progressions. An utterly amazing piece of music to end on. I think we probably couldn't not disagree with that.
No, we like to have a long banger at the end. Not really a banger, but you know what I mean.
Bit of something special in there. So, sadly that was our last song of the night, but it was an amazing song to end off with. So, again, there's been an awful lot of effort gone in from everybody here. So, we're just going to quickly run through the songs that we've had on tonight, and then we'll do our thank yous and say goodbyes. But first of all, we did have the glorious Andy Peggs on with Photocopy, which was the Sword Swinging Robot remix. Then we moved on to Primitive System, California Shimmer, which was that sort of video game-esque feeling piece there. We had Sean Quinn, Geometric, and then we had a little chat with Martin as well about about your song that was coming up there as well, and also that obviously you introduced Sean Quinn into us there, Martin, as well. Then we moved on to your song, Martin, which was Fourth Eden Waggle Dance, with the fascinating B samples that were sitting inside there. David Hughes, Platform Zero, Looking Weird in Clapham Junction, which was that Kraftwerk kind of feeling place, which didn't have a hairdryer at the beginning, I don't think. That probably was something to do with the steam shade or something like that, more than likely. Then we moved on to Wasp Bergh with a piece on his own, which was Movements in Fusion 2. And again, it'd be great to know what piece of kit that was actually done on. And then we moved on to the marvellous Benny Wu, Make Great Light, which again was a superb song. And we finished off the evening with Dark Fidelity HiFi with Progressions. We say it each week, Andy, but again, it's hard to top that, because I know every week kind of feels better and better.
There's some proper tunes on that.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good.
Really superb stuff. And again, we should put a big thank you out to our new lovely theme tune producer.
Yeah, Dave Julian. He's done an absolute cracking job on that. Absolutely ace.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave. That's
great
really kind
tune.
of you. And of course, Martin, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. It's been great to get your input. Great to hear about the Omnisphere.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been wonderful.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, as it always is, Martin. And we'll see you again soon. Hopefully, when we're out of lockdown, we can all sit down, have a beer, and just chat through synthesizers.
Absolutely.
That'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. Yeah.
Wouldn't it just? Andy, it's down to you to do the big goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
No, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one, Andy.
Bye.
I'd put that in your top 10 goodbyes. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon.
Only Human Radio.